Maigad a Hanish agus Fui the Oireachtas ta praisú tihi ag méadú agus méadú da sharfan géad a hanig mid inné le blianin nuas agus fod an staitinis ta man price tihi €100,000 doganne at the geri chat ur a cheanart. Yesterday, Taoiseach, the CSO reported that in the past year house prices have continued to skyrocket, rising by more than 7%. Since this government took office, the average house price in Carrigaline, in your own constituency, Taoiseach, has increased by almost €100,000. Nearly half the houses in Carrigaline are now being sold for more than €400,000. And under this government, homes are becoming less affordable. And this has been seen right across the state, in every county and in every community. And yet your government crows about that its housing plan is working and claims that you've turned a corner. Yet across the state, first-time buyers are now facing an average price of €400,000 to buy a new build home. So on what planet, Taoiseach, is this affordable for ordinary workers and families? And I hope you answer that question. The rate of home ownership has fallen to its lowest level in 50 years under your government. Homelessness is rising and house prices are surging out of control. And the numbers simply don't lie. Under your government, the housing crisis is getting worse, not better. The number of new homes coming onto the market for people to buy and own fell last year and has flatlined under your government. Investment companies and vulture funds, they're hoovering up properties to rent out at extortionate prices, but that is not a solution to your housing crisis, Taoiseach. And even those who are profiting on the back of people's misery are telling everyone that the government's housing plan is not going to make homes more affordable. Yesterday, one of our biggest trade unions in this state warned that the housing crisis and affordability crisis is now threatening our public services, with teachers, with nurses and Gardaí unable to find an affordable accommodation in cities and towns and villages right across the state. Businesses are telling us, and I'm sure they're telling you, that your housing crisis is undermining our economy. And employers are telling us that they're finding it difficult to attract and retain staff. And this is happening all around you, Taoiseach. Yet your government have the cheek to say that your housing plan is working, that things are getting better, and despite the reality that is facing you blatantly in the face. Now, you created this housing crisis, your party created this housing crisis, and under Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, it is getting worse. And what are you delivering? Your affordable housing targets are pitiably low, and you're not even meeting those targets, with too many of the properties that are being delivered simply too expensive. Your housing policy is designed to push up prices, and that is exactly what it is doing. And who are the losers in all of this, Taoiseach? It is the ordinary people. It is the ordinary people of Ireland who's losing out under Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil's disastrous housing policies as house prices continue to spiral out of control. It is the young people who are forced to live with their parents into their 30s, putting their lives on hold. Or worse, those who are faced to immigrate because they see no future here in this land. Or it is the families that are trapped into rip-off rental market who don't have any hope of owning their own home. So that's why we need a change of government. That's why we need a change of housing policy that would see the state start to deliver tens of thousands of homes that working people can actually afford. So I'm going to ask you a very simple question, Taoiseach, and it's one that commitment you personally gave. We're now over 4 years since the general election. You personally gave a commitment to the electorate that if elected you would deliver 50,000 affordable homes to purchase at prices less than €250,000. My question, Taoiseach, and I'm sure many people are scratching their heads asking the same question, where are those homes today? Because the result of your policy is that you have driven house prices out of control and out of reach of ordinary families. What do you say to people in your own constituency where they are now being asked to fork out €400,000 plus to buy a new build in your own constituency and right across the state?
Taoiseach, please.
Dúspáir ní an tíim leis an tachta agus ní léon áras ormsa ach an strategic housing for all a bhad níos fearr ná aon rud atá fáilte a go héin nó ag party Sinn Féin agus ní léon áras ná mar rud a gur sibse sa rialtas beag an scéal a bhad níos measa agus beag praisna a bhad níos arda. Go háirithe de daoine tá cinna teach ag géad óir. Just have to say, Deputy, that I disagree fundamentally with your narrative and your approach. Building houses is key, and Fianna Fáil did take up the housing portfolio, deliberately did at the start of this government, because historically Fianna Fáil has built houses. to the various decades and generations of this country since its history, Fianna Fáil built houses. And if you look at the commencement notices, Deputy, in terms of what's happening right now, extraordinary figures in the first 4 months of this year. 18,000 new homes were commenced in April of 2024. That's about 600% over last year, highest seen in any month since the series began in 2014. And in the first 4 months of 2024, there were over 30,000 houses commenced. That's hugely above last year's figures. And again, if you take the last 12 months, from May 23 to April 24, there's been about 53,000 homes commenced. There is momentum in terms of house construction in this country. And the reason, and look, and then we're trying to create sustainability into the future through the Future Ireland Fund, which you voted against yesterday. And in the infrastructure fund, as part of that, we want to build in capital reserves so that we can keep building houses at a sustainable rate into the future. Now, you told Davy stockbrokers that you would support the Future Ireland Fund, and you voted against it in the Dáil yesterday. And it's the classic, you know, you're Dr. Jekyll to Davy stockbrokers, but you're Mr. Hyde when it comes into the Dáil. And I know which personality I believe in. But I would ask, what should the Irish people believe when it relates to Sinn Féin and housing policy? Because you talked about prices increasing. And I don't like house prices increasing at the rate that they're doing. And the rate has come down, but not enough. And the key to it is supply. The key to it is supply. The key to it is supply. But Deputy, you have said you would remove the Help to Buy scheme. You voted against the First Home scheme. You voted against the capital refurbishment grants in terms of vacancy and in terms of dereliction. Now, the net outcome of that, Deputy, in terms of your policies would be a substantial and significant increase for the price of houses for first-time buyers. And there's 450 now a week buying their houses for the first time. And your policies would take away the supports that we've put in place for first-time buyers that enables them to buy houses at unprecedented rates. At the unprecedented rates in the last number of years, the number of first-time buyers is increasing because of this government's policies and the policies over the last 4 years across the Help to Buy scheme, across other initiatives, First Home scheme, and also the various affordable schemes. And then on the social housing front, you have to acknowledge, Deputy, that there's been very significant increases, both in new builds, 8,800 last year, but also in delivery of social homes, up to about 1,200.
You're usurping the role of the leader. Will you allow the Taoiseach to answer, please?
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate I appreciate the leadership ambitions of Deputy O'Brien, and that's clear. But the point is that, in a more serious vein, we're talking about pricing and affordability. The Sinn Féin policies would undermine the capacity of first-time buyers to buy homes at an affordable price, because you would get rid of all the underpinning supports that we've put in place. And with the LDA as well, through Project Tussie and others, we're moving very fast to get affordable houses on the road.
You stood there and said the rate of increase in house prices is coming down. Open your eyes, it's accelerating. It's increasing month on month. We've had 10 months of house prices. In your own constituency, house prices are now 100,000 more than when you took office just 4 years ago. And you try to lecture us who's in opposition. You couldn't make this up. Home ownership is at the lowest level in 50 years under your government. You have the Minister for Housing. I asked you a simple question. You made a personal promise. You made a commitment to the electorate. You said if you got into government, you would deliver 50,000 affordable houses at prices that would be less than €250,000. I ask you, where are they? Because nobody can find them anywhere. They're not in Cork, they're not in Donegal, they're not in Dublin. You haven't delivered the houses. And your policies are pushing up house prices. And how do we know? How do we know? The CSO are telling us you're locking out an entire generation from home ownership. You're locking people into sky-high rents. And yes, the vulture funds and investors are sweeping up those houses, and they are renting them out at astronomical prices, and that is government policy. So I ask you a simple question again. Shake your head all you want. Where are the 50,000 affordable houses that you promised to deliver at cost less than €250,000? Please answer that question, Miall.
Thank you, Deputy.
Deputy, it's noticeable from your reply reply that you avoided any response to the fundamental problem through the Chair, through the Concorders.
Please now.
550 first-time buyers each week are now buying their first home. Mortgage drawdowns by first-time buyers reached a new peak at almost 26,000 in 2023. That's the highest annual level since 2007. And listening to you, Deputy, one would be forgiven for thinking that none of that is happening. And what has been important in that has been the expanded Help to Buy scheme of €30,000 to support home ownership. Over 45,000 first-time buyers have benefited. And you want to take that support away from those who want to buy their first home. The first home scheme, the new equity, the shared equity, you opposed that, Deputy, and you also opposed the capital, or the grants for the vacancies and so on. Housing supply is growing, and very significantly. And I think it's very interesting that when I endeavoured to respond to the Deputy, I didn't interrupt the Deputy once, but I've known from the Deputy that, you know, most people like a bit of melody. Yeah. But with Deputy Pearse Doherty, it's cacophony all the way.
All right.
And it's shouting, roaring, noise, as if the decibel levels reveals your sort of the rightness of your...
Sit down, Deputy, please. Sit down, Deputy. Deputy, do you want me to suspend the House? Deputy Doherty, do you want me to suspend the House? Well, I'll tell you now. Wait, no, let the chair speak. I know we're at a certain point in the electoral cycle where people are getting excited. I know hostages have been given to fortune, but they've been given on by lots of different people on lots of different sides. The public are looking at this, and they expect the debate here to be conducted in an orderly. They expect the debate to be conducted. Strategic interruption and heckling is no way to conduct an orderly debate. Strategic, you, sir, are the arch-strategic. You know very well what you're doing. You know very well what you're doing, and you're strategically heckling constantly. The next time this occurs, I'm going to suspend the House. Now, can we? You know, you can't make a point of order. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. If you persist, I will put the House into recess.